Hello, this is just a short video showing how I fitted a dash cam into my Land Rover Defender. The dash cam that I fitted is made by a company called GKU and the model is a D600. I don't think this is the latest model from this manufacturer, but it seems to be very popular and I've seen some good reviews on it. Price wise, it's by no means the cheapest, but it's far well underneath the cost of the most expensive. Here you can see it's packaged up pretty well. You get more or less everything you need. Some things to put on the windscreen to stop any residue, which I don't think I'm going to use. All of the associated cables and plugs, etc. that I might require. And also they give you some little cable sticker things and an Allen key. I'm not sure what that was for. I didn't find out what it was for. And a little tool and some extra sticky pads. So the reason I'm fitting a dash cam is because in the not too distant future my wife and I are going to attempt to go on a bit of a road trip. I'm not quite sure why I decided that I would require a dash cam for a road trip, but it seemed to me to be quite a good place to start to get my Defender ready for the trip. So once I've had a good look at all the bits and pieces, I just put it all back in the box for safety, keeping the instructions at hand. As you can see, the inside of my Defender's not that tidy. I'm a plumber by trade and I use it every day for carting my tools and bits and pieces around, so it's always in a bit of a mess. The first thing I've got to do is work out the route of the power cables. There's a power cable that will have to go to the camera on the front windscreen, and as I'm also using the rear camera, I need to get a cable from the front, front camera position, to the rear of the vehicle. The power cable is going to be connected to the cigarette lighter at the front, so initially I'm trying to work out a decent route where I can get the power to the dash cam. I'm just removing this interior light to see if there's a space between the headliner and the actual roof of the cab where I can thread some cables through without too much trouble. This light is obviously covering up a hole that I can only assume was made to accommodate the control of a searchlight fitted to my Land Rover previously. So I was hoping there was going to be a route from back to front where I could run a cable quite easily between the roof and the headliner, but that obviously wasn't to be. It wasn't for the want of trying. If I could have just figured out a route from front to back, I kind of thought it might make my life so much easier, but this turned out to be a bit of a nightmare, to be fair, so I'm pretty glad I didn't do it. So I'm refitting this cover and the light temporarily. I'm going to have to make a better job of this than is there now, because it's an absolute mess and it needs tidying up. But for now I'm just temporarily fixing it all back. Piece of shit. Having exhausted all possibilities of getting a cable between the headliner and the roof, I now turn my attention to the corner pillar on the driver's side. There are already some cables running up behind this pillar through into the headlining, so I was hoping that I could get a rod and perhaps follow that route, but that was wishful thinking, I think. So I'm going to have to go down the route of using the trim lever thing that they're supplied with the camera and see if I can pinch the cables between the headliner and the body. I have a quick test run at pushing a cable in between the head of the door frame and the head lining, and I use an old cable, and yeah, it seems to be there's some space there, so I could be in luck. I've just got to insert the cable between the cab and the headliner about 2 feet, and then you can see there's like a guttering, internal guttering in the headliner, which I can easily conceal the cable in. Having worked out that route along the headliner there, I've now got to get from the pillar down to where the cigarette lighter point is. I was hoping there was going to be some sort of access via the ashtray, but not at all. So I've removed the radio, and I'm going to just see if I can get access that way across the front of the dash without removing it all. So here I'm just removing the panel at the end of the dash with the heater controls in it, and I hope when I take it to bits that nothing else falls apart. If I'm honest, I don't really like undertaking jobs like this, because normally I open a can of worms or something gets damaged, or I end up spending more time on it than I should really. But in this instance, I think it kind of paid off. I've threaded this rod through, and I can see at the other end, which is great. I love it when a plan comes together. Now all I'm going to do is attach the cable that I require to the other end of the rod and pull it through. The length of the cable, both for the front and the back, seems to be plenty, and I don't think there's many vehicles it wouldn't be able to fit. When I'm doing this sort of thing, I always put plenty of tape on the piece that I'm pulling through, and I kind of make it to a point to streamline it through the route that it's going to take, so it doesn't catch on anything. There's no sort of abrupt edges or shoulders to catch on. Once I detach the end of the cable from the rod, I try to figure out how much I'm going to need to get to the actual camera itself. The excess cable can obviously be safely bunched up in the cavity of the dash. This is the cable for the rear camera, and it comes with a little plug on it, so you can detach the camera itself, which makes life a bit easier. I estimate about how much cable I'll require for this rear camera, and I tie it to the wing mirror so that I don't inadvertently pull it and it'd be too short. So quite quickly and quite easily I managed to get the cable between the cab and the headliner, and without a lot of fuss. So the technique that I've developed here is that I lever the headliner away from the cab, and I push the cable into the gap that I've created with the tool, and then pull the tool out, and that lets the cable stay in place. Once I get to this part of the interior, and I conceal the cable round the corner, and I'm into this kind of guttering, if you like, I'm on easy street, and it's plain sailing all the way to the back. I have got a little bit of the interior trim missing on this rear post, which actually helps me. I removed it because I had some water coming in somewhere, and I had to remove it to make sure it wasn't coming in behind that. So luckily I've left it off for a little while, and I can get the cable through, because I'm just going to stick the rear camera on the curved window there. I'm not going to stick the camera to the flat piece of glass because that slides open. So as I said, I've decided that the best place to stick this rear camera is on that curved window there, and I know that bar in the back of the vehicle is in the way, but that's actually coming out at a later date. So I'm really happy with the way this part of the job went, and I've managed to tie up all the spare cabling and push it up behind the headliner. I decided not to use those film kind of windscreen protector things because they're quite big, and you've got to be careful that you don't get them within the sight of the camera. So I've decided to stick both cameras directly to the glass, and all I'm doing now is just making sure that this front windscreen is clean in the space that I want to fix the camera. Here I'm just working out the route of the cables across the front windscreen. Everything so far in this fitting kit has been perfect. However, the 5 self-adhesive cable clips that they're supplied with the kit, they only seem to accommodate 1 cable, and there's 2 going across to the camera itself, so I've ordered some extra ones from Amazon. £50 for £3.49. Bargain. Here you can see how I've fixed the cable in place. It's not ideal, but I suppose that's the best I can do. And overall, with the fitting of the cables, I'm pretty satisfied. I managed to tidy up the connection where the fitting goes into the cigarette lighter as well. The image quality from the cameras, both front and back, seems pretty good. In fact, it's good enough for my requirements. All of the images are stored on the actual dash cam itself on the SD card. If I wanted a particular image or video, I found that I had to download it onto my phone directly from the SD card that's supplied with the camera and then transfer it to my computer. I tried removing the SD card from the camera and loading it directly into my computer, but it wouldn't have any of it. It's probably pilot error, but it's just as easy to download it onto my phone. When I put my key into the ignition and turn it 1 click, the camera tells me that it's started to record. It also tells me when the Wi-Fi is connected. These images here are from the front camera. I do have both the front and rear camera connected. It's not necessary to use the rear camera if it's not required, and apparently if you just use the front camera, well then you get full 4K resolution, which I'm not really worried about. I think this is pretty clear for my purposes, and this is what it looks like from the rear. And yet that bar is coming out. So that's it, another job done. And for anybody that's interested, the dash cam was £55, and the sticky clips were a further £3.49. So for about £60, the whole job's done. The cost of completing the work and the satisfaction, priceless. So my wife will be pleased. Another job closer to the road trip.